Good. Gotta zoom out. Sorry. Sorry about the squeaks. I think I need to lock down that second side. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm going to show, it's not a whole tarot, but it's like just the major arcana and two other cards. But I found this on MakePlayingCards. Looks like I got $5 off coupon thing. And I gotta quit being so positive about them because there are some drawbacks. I don't think, based on this, that some of my previous orders are giving me the card stock that I'm paying for. So I gotta contact them, I guess. I do find the card that they included kind of interesting. They say you can get the new high gloss effect, which when you feel it, these surfaces are raised. So I wonder how they pick what to raise, or is anything with color raised? That's what seems to be the case, because the top half is the high gloss effect, the bottom half is just, regular playing card. So I might try to do a deck like that just to see. I'm curious. But anyway, I found this deck here in the background on their marketplace, which is very lame. I mean, the Game Crafter's pretty good. Drive-through cards is okay. But in terms of selling your stuff on MakePlayingCards, that's just horrible. It's super slow. It's still oriented towards someone who wants to make a deck, not someone who's just buying a deck. So I'm not sure this is a good place to try to sell your cards if you're trying that. But this is called the Figure Ground Tarot by James Chandler, who I guess got distracted on other projects in life and hasn't come back to finish this, or maybe they have no intent. But I did do some journaling here, so I'll show you that. And then I'll kind of read from it. It's just thoughts like usual instead of, some informed words of wisdom and advice and all that. But I did notice something about the tarot community, as people call it on YouTube. I noticed that it's very tidal. Tidal. Tidal, as in people seem to come and go, like they vanish, they're inconsistent, which is very different from the other communities that I kind of follow. The programmer one, which is basically just programming languages and design techniques, and then the one for various artists, especially the ones that do black and white drawings. But they seem very consistent. They've got set times for the stuff they do. I guess they're trying to sell prints or something. I don't know. Maybe that's the difference. But I just noticed that, and I immediately thought of tidal, like, waves, ocean. They come and they go, it seems. But here we got the Figure Ground Tarot, and that's the 3 rows of 7, like usual, with the Fool card. And then there's the Ace of Cups and the Queen of Cups, and I will turn them upside down because, as I'll explain here in a second, what's meant by figure ground that I could find. Figure ground is referencing our perception of images through vision, like the eyes plus the brain. Usually when you look at things, you see 2 distinct objects in the image. I'm trying to find one real quick that would make it easy to do. That one's pretty easy. You see something that looks like a dragon or some sort of reptile, but you also see a tree and what looks like a mountain or a rip in the earth, maybe something like that. But it's kind of obvious there's 2 different things going on. I can't see another one that would work really easily because his are a little off or different. This one's okay. It looks like a scene, but there's also the lion and a person's head. We'll see more of that in a second. Most commonly, the the image that you see is a vase, a vase, and two faces. I'll show you that on the iPad in a minute. This is somehow related to Gestalt psychology, Gestalt, identifying figures from the background. Gestalt is an organized whole that is perceived as more than the sum of its parts, but then I don't think they really mean more or greater than the sum of its parts. They really mean other, because they both kind of exist at the same time. You know, it's not seeing the reptile makes this more than it was. It's another way to see it. And I encountered this long ago when you start doing user interfaces for programs and software. This is one of the, I guess, principles in a pattern for designing those things. And I kind of summarized the whole deal as we tend to see patterns from the chaos around us. Some of that gets whooshed in with emotions. And it's also related to pareidolia, which happens right there. All that really is two dots and a curved line, but yet you probably see it as a face right there. It's a type of apophenia. In other words, we see patterns in chaos, like faces in wood, which I'm really good at, or clouds, or even toast. Somewhere it said perceiving a familiar pattern where none exists, but you know, that might be true for wood and clouds, but it's not true for this, because these are deliberate. Also, it occurred to me that it happens a lot in carvings. Like there's those statues on Easter Island called moai. Did they come up with that because they saw a rock that kind of looked like something like that, and then they got all carried away? Kind of Mount Rushmore? Was their faces there already? Or is that a bit like those David statues where they say, you know, David was in the rock, all I did was get rid of the extra pieces? Like Michelangelo, Donatello, who did the quirky, oddly sexy, sort of feather-touching guy statue. It's strangely colored, but all of those are nice. Michelangelo, Donatello, Bernini, Averrocchio, I don't know how to pronounce that, you know, David and Goliath. So that's what I wrote in the journal. If those lead you down another rabbit hole, then that's cool. They probably won't, but I'll let you look at those for a second, and then we'll turn them upside down so you get a chance to see what might also be there, because that's one of the things the person says. I want the viewer to interpret the cards on their own. Try looking at the cards upside down to see more symbolism. And you get this art card. That's what the backs look like, which isn't bad. I don't know if you can see the lines in there. They're little diamond-shaped lines. I don't know. I don't open the blinds yet. So there's that card, and then there's that card, and then there's a little quick reference for all 22 cards, plus what he calls bonus cards, the Ace of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So those are upside down. Let's make the Fool upside down. Always pick up the Fool and show it anyway. So there it is that way. There it is reversed. I'm not sure I'm seeing. I kind of do, kind of don't. And there's the back. Let's put that upside down and then quickly turn them over. That's not very quick. I guess it won't happen quickly. They're not edged. They are thicker than the cards that I've been making, which this is the least cardstock they sell, like the lowest number, like 300 or something. So why are my cards, even when I measure them with the calipers there, why are these thicker? The higher the number, the weightier the cards, the thicker they should be. I think. Did I miss something somewhere? Because usually the pounds for the paper go up. Like 120 pound paper is what? 300 and over 300 GSM? What am I missing? I think I'm getting ripped off is what I think is happening. They simply took my money and gave me whatever card stock they had handy and printed it. So I might have to investigate that further. Especially that holographic set, because those cost quite a bit to not get what you asked for. Now if they can't do it on that type of paper, then they should have told me and I could have canceled it or said, okay, do it anyway. So there they all are upside down. So I'll get the next part ready. I hate having to enter this little code every time just to make it come back to life. But I put these out on Google Drive. I don't know if I could share them or not. So let's look. Here's a PDF. And in the PDF, Apple Pencil's going to make it move. You can see in this image there's a guy. He looks like he's blowing a horn, a saxophone or whatever. But then there's a head. Eye, nose, mouth. If you see that. And there's two words in one. Figure ground. G. R. Also an I and an F. And then one of my favorites, I could not find a separate picture for it. But you can see a line of sailboats going back until they're not sailboats anymore. Somewhere around there. Yet at the same time that you see the sailboats, there's also a bridge coming this way. So that's kind of cool. Okay, that's kind of unneeded. And there's another popular one, the Devil's Tuning Fork. I mean, at once your eye says no, it just goes down, makes a U shape. But then as you go up, you see three things, but yet you kind of get puzzled. How can there be three when there's only... I don't know if that shows up on the screen. And these are out and innies. They probably don't show up very well. I don't know what that one is. And yeah, the lines are probably all the same length, even though they look different lengths to us. It looks like a B or a 13 because you're influenced by the 1-2 or you're influenced by the AEC. Probably nobody but me is interested in this, but you have to stare at that and then use white paper. It's like looking at TV and then you see the image afterwards when you look somewhere else. Where was the one I wanted to point out? I didn't make a copy of this one though. Let's see if we can zoom in some. Let's zoom in. Even though this isn't really related to the deck exactly, it kind of is. Oops. But you can see on this guy, if it lets me. Yeah, it lets me. You can see what looks like a man's face, Renaissance or whatever. But also, there are chicken feet. There's a chick that's been plucked. You can see wing, face, its eye, which is also his eye. And you go around, that's its whole body and its feet. And then there's his mouth, which is actually a fish's head. There's fish going that way to make his jawline. There's also a drumstick right here, and part of his head is a bigger chicken. So it's kind of interesting. I've never seen that one before. There's the vase. We'll get to that in a second. And of course, Salvador Dali and all the surrealists would have been masters at this sort of thing. So these screens really attract stuff. I guess that's on the picture. But you can see several things there. A big head and then a person in that head. His are tough to look at sometimes. And then the yin-yang cat, of course. And this one's pretty nice. I'm not sure who it is, but you can see a lady on a hill, yet there's a face. Its hair is the tree limb. There's another face in the cloud. There's a face down here in the water. That's pretty cool. And I think I have the others to show closer up. Yeah. So I made this group called Figure Ground. Let's look at the first one, which is the vase, and I made some layers to help you see. You can see the vase and a face on each side, but if you don't, I'll help you out here. There's the first face over here, and there's the second face over there, and it also kind of helps to see the vase that way. So let's go look at the next one, which is kind of a cool one. I think that's cool. And you should see a tree and birds and ground and what could be air. But you're also going to see on the left the gorilla, colored them in. Then you should see, where is it? The lion on the right. And then at the bottom there's water and fish. So they're kind of cool. This is all figure ground or gestalt, or however you say that. Let's look at the last one, which is kind of easy to see right away, I think, but maybe not. If it's not, I made it a little easier, but it looks like a hill with a woman on the edge, perhaps the Fool, something pink and fluffy, something that looks like a mushroom, two birds, a tree, another person coming up there. And let's see if we can make the face pop out. There we go. There's the face looking down at the hill. Interesting how the mushroom is a nostril, the lips are this other person. A lady, her waist would be like the eyeball. So it's pretty interesting, I think. So I'll get that out of the way. And we'll come back to the first card, and hopefully I didn't take too long with this. I think I like the Hermit, although I haven't quite figured out all the possibilities for that card yet. So I will end on that with that in there. And that was hopefully a quick enough show, probably too long, of the Figure Ground Tarot by James Chandler that I found on MakePlayingCards.com, which is a horrible place to sell your cards. It's unbearably slow. But they did get printed. It took about 2 weeks, and it arrived. Another one's coming in a couple days. That's the Oracle of Delphi, which I'm kind of into at the moment because I'm reading 2 or 3 books at the same time about it. I find it interesting that there's a connection between Delphi, however you want to say it, and Marseille in France. I find that interesting. So with that, I will say peace.